Welcome back. There are many reasons why you should visit the Coral Gables Museum, and one of them has to do with your own house. If you ever wondered what your house looked like when it was first built, you can now satisfy that curiosity by visiting one of the museum's exhibits. Here to tell us more about this project is Arva Moore Parks, the interim museum director, curator, and historian. Thank you so much, Arva, for being here. So you have been very busy for the past several months. And you've got this great line of exhibitions going on right now. And there's several of them that are taking place, but this one in specific is really directly related, that residents can directly relate to. Tell me about it.
Well, we really want to invite everybody to come in that lives in a historic house. We have this interactive touchscreen kind of exhibit. Let us help you find your way home. And what it is we have Fishbaugh, William H. Fishbaugh, who worked for George Merrick from the very beginning and 90 years ago in 1921, took pictures of every single house that he built. And we have amassed about 300 of Fishbaughs from different sources. So if you can go in, it's a wonderful exhibit created by the University of Miami Architecture Alumni. You type in your address, and if we have the picture, it will appear. Wow. And then we're asking you to bring in a current photo of your house, and we will add it to the exhibit, so it'll be like a then and now. And if you know you live in one of the original houses and it's not in our exhibit, then we invite you into another section, because we have about 100 more we have not identified.
Okay, of the historic homes.
Of the historic homes, of 1920 to 1924. 1921, 1924. So then we have a form there, so if you find your house, you write your name and your address, then we'll add it to the exhibit. And we also hope that when you see how beautiful your home was maybe in 1922, and you know that it's been altered insensitively, as we say, that you might want to bring it back. So I think it will give an added appreciation to the wonderful architecture of Coral Gables.
Yeah, not many times do you get to see your house right when it was built. Is this something that was customary for Merrick to want to preserve what the house looked like at that point in time?
He did a lot of advertising, and we have a big brochure on the wall that has a lot of these pictures on it that he used, Seeking the Ideal Home. He had all kinds, so he used these a lot in advertising, but I think I know he had a sense of history, and he really wanted to document what he was doing, which was like no one else had really done in South Florida, or even in a good portion of the United States.
So was he very involved in the actual design of the house, and that's why we would want people to take it back to that original state?
Well, it's interesting. The original architect that did more than 400 of the houses in Coral Gables was George Merrick's first cousin, H. George Fink. And we interpret him another part of the museum, but a good portion of these homes are by George Fink, and some are Walter DeGarmo, some are Martin Hampton. So we do have the early architects are shown here. Also, I hope down the road, we have the Kerdite collection that was taken in the 1940s. Okay. So we hope to upgrade this after a while, after we do our original historic homes, to move into the post-World War II, which will give another whole group of people a chance to come in and look for their home.
Yes. Now, what's been the reaction so far? Are people surprised by what they find, or?
I think they're really happy by what they find. I've had them come find me to come show me their house, people that I know. And the other thing you can do, like I always put mine, I used to live on South Greenway for 20 years, so I put mine in, it does appear. But then I can push a button and move right down the street. So I can see all the way down South Greenway. So if you find something on Alhambra, you can go right down the street and look at all your neighbors and tell them about it.
Now, what's the purpose of doing this? Do you think it's also building a sense of community, as we were talking about?
Oh, absolutely. I think the whole purpose for me for history is always to build a sense of community, a sense of place. When you really know about a place, then you love it and you call it home and you feel like it's yours. So I think, particularly in Coral Gables, the story is so rich and so magnificent what George Merrick did in Coral Gables. So learning about that, I think, creates a greater pride of place of those lucky enough to live in Coral Gables.
So basically, when you go to the museum, there is going to be a kiosk, some sort of digital display, and then you can enter your information there for this particular exhibit.
It's a large touch screen, like plasma screen, and you actually touch the screen, and it will take you to these places.
So that's just one of the exhibits that you can see when you go to the museum. Tell me about the rest of the exhibitions taking
Well,
place
the major storyline exhibit, as we call it, is called Creating the Dream, George Merrick and His Vision of Coral Gables. And you enter the woods like the Merricks did in 1899, go through the cabin, get into the main section. And one of the big questions in the main section is, why did he choose Spain? And so he loved the history and the romance and the geography. But you go into the next room, and there is another interactive exhibit, real castles in Spain. He said Coral Gables, where your castles in Spain are made real.
Sure.
And so what you do is there's a map of Coral Gables, another touch screen. You touch, say, Cordova, if you live on Cordova, and it'll change like they do. It says, want to take a trip? And so you push Cordova, a little ticket to Cordova, little ship crosses the Atlantic, cartoony ship, shows you the map of Spain, and then you go to the real Cordova in video and images, and so you can go Cordova, Castile, Andalusia, all these places. People love this exhibit. But then that leads the way into the gallery where, thanks to Ambassador Cristina Barrios, the Consul General of Spain, we have 52 maps of Spanish Florida, and many of them have never been seen before.
Wow.
They're extraordinary. There's South Florida maps, there's Cape Canaveral, St. Augustine, of course, Pensacola, even Santa Elena, which a lot of people don't realize was the first capital of Florida. It was in South Carolina.
Wow.
And so that's an exciting exhibit. And then we have the Bringing Beauty into Your Lives, curated by John Stewart, professor at FIU, which talks about the New Deal, Works Progress Administration, CCC, all the New Deal program. And the WPA built the old police and fire station, and it also did Matheson Hammock, Fairchild, and other Coral Gables Women's Club. But we also housed the art program for the WPA was in Coral Gables. With a lot of art, Richard Merrick doing Woodward, really a wonderful exhibit. Then we have the Sister Cities that talks about Coral Gables' 5 sister cities. That has some video in there. And then finally, in the Abraham Gallery, which was funded by the wonderful donation by the Anthony Abraham family, we have a variety of things. We've had an Anthony Abraham, we have young artists have been in there that Christina Moss, one of our board members, arranged for. And that's the room that's going to change frequently.
Okay.
So you can keep coming back and you will always find something new at the Coral Gables Museum.
And I noticed that there's definitely a relation between Spain and Coral Gables, and you're really trying to bring that out, especially with it's true what you were saying. We look at the street signs; they're all Spanish in origin, but you never get a chance to see where did that come from. And so you'll be able to go in this exhibit that you were talking about to that town, to that place in Spain. Just from seeing the exhibit, have you been able to see any correlation, any similarities between the two places?
Oh, absolutely. We have a whole wall where, again, because of the tourist people have sent us these marvelous pictures, where we were able to match. We have a Coral Gables Elementary, we found a place in Spain. The Granada Fountain, we found a place in Spain. Yeah, so people will have fun. The Deering Gallery at the Biltmore, and there's plenty more, but that was just a start. We only had one wall to fill. So no, there's an incredible connection with Spain, and it's been wonderful, particularly with the demographics now of South Florida, to reconnect to the Spanish roots, and then with the 500th anniversary of Ponce de Leon arrival in Florida coming up, perfect timing. We have Ponce de Leon Plaza, Ponce de Leon Boulevard. So George Merrick had a real sense of history, and he proved it when he picked Spain as his theme.
And lastly, are you going to continue the Spanish theme coming up?
Yes, we hope the maps will remain here until May, so we'll keep this going until the summer, and then they're going to travel all over Florida. People are already lining up for the Spanish maps, and we're having flamenco dancing in January to celebrate again this heritage. We're working on a musical thing in February with Malagueña, with Laconia. Again, and we've been working with people from the Spanish Cultural Center in downtown Miami and the Chamber of Commerce, and you name it. We've had wonderful connections with all the people of Spain.
Well, thank you so much, Arva. It sounds
thank
very
you.
exciting, and we can't wait
to... a lot to see.
Yes, there's definitely a lot to see, and if you haven't made it out, definitely take a trip out there. There are obviously many great activities that are taking place in the museum. And besides the exhibitions, there's also a lot of activities. Make sure you check that out. You can go to their website at coralgablesmuseum.org. The museum is located at 285 Aragon Avenue, and they're open Tuesdays and through Thursdays from noon to 6 p.m., Fridays from noon to 8 p.m., Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 5 p.m. And if you want any more information, you can call 305-603-8067. And there's still much more to come on Coral Gables Now. Good news, residents can now get a driver license or other related services without leaving the city. We'll be right back.
The city of Coral Gables has a heart. And now those kind-hearted individuals, organizations, or groups who've done a spontaneous good deed can be nominated for the city's Random Act of Kindness Award. If you know of a person, group, or organization doing a selfless act of kindness, we want to hear from you. Every month beginning in January, the city of Coral Gables will recognize those who have a heart in our community and do random acts of kindness to help out friends or strangers. Whether it's helping an elderly neighbor to take care of their yard, donating time to a school or hospital in need, or simply lending a hand to a stranger. These good deeds help make Coral Gables a better place to live and work. You can download a nomination form by visiting the city's website at www.coralgables.com or calling 305-460-5205 for more information. Nominate a random act of kindness in Coral Gables today.
Welcome back. And it's time to get those shopping bags ready. The farmers market is back, and this year there is more time to enjoy the activities. That's one of the stories that Tanya Leitz has for us on this edition of City News.
The farmers market is back and better. This year, the event will take place in front of City Hall on Saturdays from January 21st to March 31st. Thanks to its overwhelming popularity, the city has extended the market's hours. It's now open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The farmers market offers farm fresh produce, culinary demonstrations, gardening workshops, Tai Chi classes, and special activities for children. Don't miss it. And finally, Coral Gables residents no longer have to travel outside the city of Coral Gables for their driver license services. The Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles has opened a mobile office at the Coral Gables Branch Library. Every second Monday of the month for approximately 4 hours, DHS and V staff will set up mobile computer stations inside the library, providing residents with a convenient method to renew a driver license, obtain a replacement, change a name or address, and other services. However, driving and written tests will not be available at this location. More than 2 years ago, the department closed its local office, making Mall of Americas the location of the nearest main office. Mayor Jim Kaysen requests his staff to find a way to make these important services more convenient and accessible for residents. The Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles requires specific documentation depending on the service. For a checklist of accepted documents, visit www.gathergoget.com. For City News, this is Tanya Leitz.
All right, thanks, Tanya. And that does it for this edition of Coral Gables Now. Thanks for watching Coral Gables Television, and I hope that you start the new year in a very positive way. We'll see you next month.